Hello and welcome to Miguel Delaney's Inside Football. This is a videocast that's a complement to my newsletter, which you can subscribe to in the link below, and my general work for The Independent, which will explore the headlines, the news cycle, and tell you what's really going on of significance in football. And today I'm reflecting, I suppose, on what is suddenly a massive upturn for Manchester United. Not just a victory over their biggest rivals in the biggest Premier League fixture, but also the nature of it and the symbolism and statistical significance of it in how it was Ruben Amorim's. It was the first time that Ruben Amorim has won back-to-back Premier League games, which is remarkable after over a year. But that in itself is instructive and also points to how this can be a psychological turning point, all the usual kind of cliches you associate with this. But I think the psychology point is really key, especially in the context of what Manchester United had to do to get through that game, and also who was responsible for the victory. I mean, look, let's be fair here. Over the past, especially the last 3 years, but really at various stages since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, United have not just had a bad run, they've really had to endure some humiliations. I mean, they've reached levels of farce, you would say, and that's been put to me by people within football, that, just seemed unimaginable. Now, they've suffered some of those levels of farce at Anfield in particular, with some really bad defeats there. I mean, Liverpool have put 4 past them, 5 past them, and most notoriously 7 past them in recent games. And that's in a kind of, these are results in the history of that fixture, especially in such a close concentration of time, that you just hadn't seen before. Because obviously, even if they were at different levels of success, the two teams were always kind of relatively evenly matched, and there was even a trend of when the team that was generally finishing lower in the league, that they would actually finish, or that they would do better in the individual matches because it meant more. And now, within these periods of and results of embarrassment, of humiliation for Manchester United, it's probably fair to say that Harry Maguire has been one of the more lampooned players at United over this period, and by extension in the Premier League. He's had displays mocked. Everyone's seen the memes that I don't need to get into here. It hasn't reached Phil Jones levels, which of course Phil Jones himself has spoken about so well. And it does touch on how this can often go into bigger topics beyond football and football performance. But Maguire, and beyond just the way he's been spoken about, he's obviously had kind of separate issues. There was the situation in Greece. There was also the very fact that Manchester United were pretty much trying to push him out the door at certain points. Erik ten Hag made it clear he didn't really want him. And it would have been very easy for any professional in that situation to just kind of, I suppose, to just not quite give up or anything, but really just, you surrender yourself to the situation, look to another club, go to a club with lower expectations than Manchester United, take a good contract elsewhere, and just get on with it. But Maguire didn't. He dug in, he persevered, he showed real resilience. He's made himself one of Manchester United's most important players again, and he stood up. That's both in figurative terms and literal terms, because what was that match winner against Liverpool if not a player standing up? And also, and even on purely football terms, I think there's a really interesting angle there, where I thought Roy Keane made a really good point on Sky Sports after the game here, where he spoke about how what he likes about when Maguire goes up for set pieces. And let's not forget, Keane has been a player who's really strongly criticised Harry Maguire in the past as well. A pundit who's criticised him in the past. But Keane said in this situation, sometimes it's set pieces, and I think this is absolutely true. You see centre-halves or defenders go up, and it's almost as kind of a matter of course. They're going up to fulfill a position rather than really kind of wanting to make something happen at a set piece. Whereas Maguire, when he goes up for set pieces, he really wants it. He seizes the occasion. And again, that was exactly what we saw with that match winner against Liverpool. And I think I suppose one of the things, speaking about this game, Manchester United right now, is I think it's worth paying testament to Harry Maguire. He really deserves praise. I mean, he deserves praise for his purely football performances. And he has, I think, suited some of the games Manchester United have been in of late with the way he's kind of he stood as a central figure in that defence where they have faced pressure, not least in that Liverpool game. And then obviously stepped up in the way he's been scoring big goals. And of course, this goal against Liverpool only follows, say, the run in the Europa League. And obviously that means a little bit less now because he didn't go on and win the competition. But I mean, a win over Liverpool is never going to mean less. It's and in this case, it might well have an even greater influence for Manchester United, because of course it's not just about the individual, as important as that is to Harry Maguire. This is leadership in a different sense, because if you're going to point to one of the qualities that Manchester United absolutely need right now through what has been a difficult period, where Amorim himself, the manager, has faced all sorts of pressure, it's resilience, it's perseverance, it's the ability to withstand all the noise around the club, and also to withstand games where the system isn't necessarily working as well as it might do, where, as in this Liverpool match, they faced extreme pressure. And in that sense, Maguire radiated the perseverance that Manchester United needed. So it was a real case of direct leadership and one player showing how this is done. And from that, I should say as well, look, I suppose this is the thing about football as well, and how sometimes pure luck or 50-50 elements can be extrapolated into more consequential or more significant explanations than they necessarily are. Chance still has, I would say, almost a kind of a disproportionately large role to play in football, because it is an open sport in that sense, and we probably actually underappreciate just how much pure luck plays in the game and how things go. But of course, what's important there is how you react to luck. So in this case, I would say, look, Liverpool had what? I mean, Gakpo hit the frame of the goal 3 times. Gakpo missed a sitter. Salah missed 2 sitters. Isak should have scored that one-on-one. We're talking about opportunities there that on another day could have been another Liverpool heavy win. Another one of those 4 or 5s, maybe not quite 7s, but it doesn't really matter at that point. Especially given where Manchester United are right now. But that didn't happen. United got lucky, but they also got a luck that I think people at the club would say deserted them in recent games. Particularly, I think some of those early games earlier in the season, the 1-1 against Fulham, even the 1-0 against Arsenal, where there were signs things were getting better. The data was better for Manchester United, the underlying data in terms of indicating how things are going, and they didn't get the results they felt they were warranted. Whereas this was the flip side of that. And that doesn't just come from pure luck either. As I say, it's about how you respond to it. Because I think what really struck me about this game, I think it's all the more important after the way they went back and forth the Chelsea and Brentford game, was that if you were to look at one of what I would say were the main flaws with Manchester United last season, well, it was how flat they looked in attack. Now, yes, they were often missing certain attackers, but of course that's why they did make certain changes in the summer. But it was basically just how there was never any sense of any event happening. It looked like it took them so long to build anything. And the only time that really changed in their games last season was when a certain kind of chaos, I think, engulfed some of the Europa League games. Now, I think we saw the exact opposite to that in the Chelsea game and the Liverpool game. Again, 2 of the kind of hardest challenges United are going to have, and of course some of this is circumstantial because you're playing against teams that will take the game to you, all of that. But still, that hadn't happened before. And I think what was really striking was how often United were getting players into the box and creating opportunity. And again, that is such a contrast from last season. It's also, to be fair, it wasn't just the Chelsea game. We saw it against Sunderland. We've seen it in more matches. I think some of it actually comes from decisions that Amorim has made. I mean, I have to say, in previous videos here, I've not criticised, but I've kind of questioned the logic of signing 2 kind of number 10s in Cunha and Mbeumo when they've got multiple players that can play in those positions. But I think what was really valuable about Mbeumo and Cunha in this Liverpool game was that we haven't necessarily seen from some United similar players, was a willingness to really carry the ball forward. And again, just like with Maguire, there's also something symbolic about that as well, because obviously so many of United's attackers over the past few years, it feels like they've been feeling the weight of the club. And you could even see it with Højlund, say, who he's gone to Napoli and he started scoring. And that's because for all the pressure of Napoli, it's not Manchester United. And it's not Manchester United in this current situation. Napoli are quite a high-functioning team right now. Manchester United have not been, so it's a lot of pressure to put on attackers. I think a lot of players have felt that. But Cunha and Mbeumo came in, and it doesn't look like they felt that. It feels like at the moment they're playing with a kind of a will and release that's been missing from Manchester United of late. So that, I think, has a psychological importance, and it also has a tactical importance, because at moments of pressure, I think they've been able to release United. Now, this Liverpool United game was, in terms of how it was played, I think it's maybe a pointer to how the Premier League is going, in that I've already spoken in the previous video, you can see the link, that we're in the post-Guardiola era now in the Premier League. And I think we'll see really defined systems being less prominent, which will lead to more transitional and open games. And that's exactly what this Liverpool-Manchester United game was. It was like a match from the 1990s, although played to a higher level, because, look, the Premier League can pay much more money now, so you're getting a better quality of player. So it was a very open game. And in that open game, the way that United's attackers were willing to carry the ball forward, it had this direct effect. It also relieved pressure, and it created real problems for Liverpool. It honed in on Liverpool flaws. I mean, this is the other thing with Amorim right now, where again, kind of a certain resilience has been important, because, like, obviously so much has been made of how Amorim has refused to buckle from his formation. And while that's been true, I think he has made certain tweaks. They're not compromises, but they are changes to his overall approach that just aids it, that facilitates it, which is basically, I suppose, what people who have been criticising United and Amorim had been saying they should do. And one of those is this now willingness to, get with the times, get with the trends in the Premier League, and bombard opposition. Go for it, not just long balls, but also very direct play. And again, Cunha and Mbeumo fit into that. So look, I don't want to say things have turned at Manchester United. As we know with this club, especially in the last 5 years, it's far too early. Amorim himself would say it's far too early. In fact, that was a big message for him after the game. But for me, the main message from this match, and it is a very significant game, it's a significant run of results because it's the first time Amorim's United have won 2 in a row. The main message is also that they displayed a perseverance in an idea that gives them a better platform now, that is going to allow a potential turn. And you couldn't have anyone that personified that more than Harry Maguire. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoy the videocast, please like, subscribe, and leave comments. Thank you.